With GOP Congressman Tom Reed announcing his retirement, a congressional seat in western New York is up for grabs in 2022. And throwing his hat in the ring is U.S. Air Force veteran and communications officer for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency at the DoD, Andrew McCarthy. A self-described Reagan Republican, McCarthy wants to challenge, quote, tyrannical globalists and Washington, D.C. elites. He joins us now to discuss his campaign. Welcome, Andrew.
Yeah, challenge them among others. So just a little bit about me. I'd be running in central or western New York, depending on where these maps fall. We're currently waiting on Albany for maps. New York's been in that situation for the last 2 years. We've been waiting on Albany for top-down mandates related to COVID and sort of way of life. And that's what tipped the scales for making me put my hat in and run. A little bit about me. I have an academic background in trade policy. My profession is a military intelligence analyst, and I want to bring some of that global experience to the strengths of our district. We're known for our agricultural output, manufacturing. We have world-class higher education networks, and they're just not being utilized. There's no reason why we need to keep coming in last place, and that all falls to local governance and regional governance and a lack of representation in Washington. So I want to take my experience in America First policies and put us back on the map, get us out of this COVID lockdown.
And Andrew, what has caught a lot of people's attention is that you're running as what you call an America First Republican, but also supporting a public option for health insurance, which was, a big, big left-wing idea in 2008, 2009, ended up not making it into the Affordable Care Act. It's been typically associated with kind of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, but you're running on it as a Republican. How did you arrive at that spot?
Well, first and foremost, and you did a great job of setting that up, but I do want to stress that I believe in the market for healthcare. Healthcare's, I believe in private health insurance, and most people have private healthcare policies. But the public option would be a means-tested scenario, which means it would take care of our most vulnerable. It would omit any illegal aliens, which currently our Obamacare doesn't do in all circumstances. And it would be socioeconomic and demographically targeted. So people that sort of fall in the middle would have an option. It's more of the foundation of our healthcare platform. It's not the sole end all and be all. Our healthcare policy, or our platform, also includes concepts on disruptive innovation, so wearables, which means you're really taking your health out of the hands of DC or whatever regional or statewide system that you have set up, and you can manage it on a day-to-day basis. Most importantly, transparent pricing is something that we want to push. Whenever you get these massive bills from an emergency room visit or some of these jaw-dropping medical bills, you want to know where the prices come from. And transparent pricing is something that I don't think is talked about enough.
Andrew, you called Dr. Fauci a liar and criminal for his doubling down on the wet market hypothesis. We've criticized him on the show for his evasive answers about whether gain-of-function research was being done, was being financed. Are you running to hold Dr. Fauci accountable?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just keep in mind, those are two different things. So the gain-of-function research is something that Anthony Fauci lied about. Perjured himself in front of Congress. So yeah, that's not only, I'm not calling him a criminal, he is technically a criminal. I put out that tweet just hours before he then went on CNN on his new part-time gig and called Senator Cruz and Senator Rand Paul criminals. So this is cyclical, but only one of us is doing this based on facts. And that's me. The other thing that you mentioned was the wet market origin. So the intelligence community, and I'm not speaking on behalf of them, 17 independent agencies and often competing agencies have collectively determined that the wet market origin is null and void. China, it's such a bad hypothesis that the Chinese Communist Party stopped running with it as a scam hypothesis. So for him to revert to that, I mean, I don't know what's going on in his head, but when we open the books on Fauci and when we open the books on his stock portfolio and what he actually has vested in this, we're going to get some interesting answers, and history is going to do more than I could on Twitter or wherever you pick this up on.
And sorry to go back to the public option, but I'm fascinated about this this kind of political realignment and development. What have you heard from voters when you've talked about support of a public health care option?
Well, so that people in my region don't care as much about getting over the hump of Obamacare as they do about caring about individual, their personal health care. In this case, like I said, it falls in that sweet spot, and I hate to use that term, but the Goldilocks spot of people that don't want to pay exorbitant amounts for these private policies, but at the same time might not qualify for Medicare, Medicaid options. So a public option means tested, means that it's actually funded to take care of American citizens. People often push back on that because they're reluctant to take care of illegals or reluctant to take care of people that are maybe just floating on the system and don't really qualify. But the means tested is the most important part. It would be stipulated and rigorously done so that not everyone's walking in.
Well, Medicaid is means tested. So how do you differentiate it from Medicaid? Is it a higher means test?
This would be more focused on, like I said, the most vulnerable of the population. This would be for the economically disenfranchised. But I think it's just to get the ball rolling on a larger platform generally, and opening up healthcare and putting it back in the hands of the patient and not DC. So like I said, when you pair that with disruptive innovation, when you pair that with wearables, transparent pricing, you now have a robust picture of what healthcare actually is. One of the things that Obamacare threw off, and they did a good job of, unfortunately, was the disinformation that healthcare is health insurance. And we need to break down that paradigm and talk about the complex system that is healthcare.
Switching issues just a little bit, Republicans were, I think, very successful in this most recent election by focusing a lot on, in Virginia, for instance, on schools and how pandemic-era policies have really failed. They failed working families and they failed parents. What is your thinking on these issues? Obviously, we're now concerned about a new variant and whether our health bureaucracy is going to throw the country back into lockdowns and closures and school closures, that kind of thing. Children in a lot of places are still wearing masks in schools. What are your thoughts on these subjects?
Well, I don't want to put too much stake or too much into the Virginia election. I know that what was going on in the classroom there is important, and it was a little bit more than just COVID. It was CRT as well and some other issues. I don't want to downplay it, but in New York, we've suffered under the worst in terms of small businesses, in terms of school. I don't think that enough has been done in terms of a resilient approach. Like I mentioned with healthcare earlier, in Europe, Europe was sort of the concept for Obamacare originally, right? We were sold on hijacking their perfect healthcare system. But when it comes to COVID, we don't recognize that natural immunity, like Europe does, is something that's, something that should be researched more. All we do is roll out 3 options for these mandated vaccinations and then boosters on boosters on boosters. Natural immunity is something that's real. Preventative care is something that's real in terms of zinc. Over-the-counters, taking, care of yourself on a basic level in terms of exercise and getting outside, we're actually prescribing the opposite. So to answer your question about schools, I mean, now you have the new governor masking kids as young as 3. We know that, and they've already forewarned us on the next round of mandates, what's about to happen. And I just don't want to see it get as bad as it was or half as bad as it was last year. So, yeah, people are up in arms about it. That's for sure.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll have more Rising right after this.